this is Adam Martin for Making the Grade TV. We finally bothered doing it after about 3 years of thinking about it. So it's this is the start of something, I presume, massive. Hopefully, I mean, we're only doing it for monetary gains, if nothing else, and because we, yeah, just to wait, just any, no, just anything will do, just to escape our really dull and poor lives. So I think it was also quite clever to start this football vlog right at the end of the season. So I think it's to capture the imagination, starting with only 3 games to go. But we'll just wrap it up. Like, obviously, first question is, which is worse, Liverpool winning the title or Man City?
It's definitely Liverpool winning the title is worse. I'd rather someone chop my face off than see Liverpool win the league.
Do you think that's something that's like obviously common to most people of the living world in the UK?
Yeah, but funny enough, my first customer of the day was an Arsenal fan who wanted Liverpool to win the league, and I said he's the first other fan of another club who wants Liverpool to win the league. It's the first one I've met.
Yeah, do you think it's because, I mean...
He said his son supports Liverpool, so he wants it for him.
Weird. Do you think it's because Liverpool have just been crap for the entire history of living football?
Yeah, because they were crap in the 70s, weren't they, as well? They were crap then, weren't they? And they'd not really achieved anything before then, had they? Really?
No, I can't think. I can't think.
I'm going to say that they have. I'm going to say that they haven't achieved anything. They had that little run where they played some sort of torrid, boring football, and they nicked a few trophies when old football was rubbish, when nobody gave a shit. And
pre-1993.
Yeah, that's right. And since then, they've just done nothing really, have they?
Have they ever had a good player?
Yeah, one. Luis Suarez.
I think that's pretty much fact, because you can pretty much write off every single player that played in the 80s. And then obviously Steven Gerrard.
That played in the 80s was rubbish anyway, wasn't it? Every footballer that ever played for any club in the 80s was crap, wasn't they?
I think that's pretty much well known, that they're just total shit, yeah. Like, pointless really, because they just weren't even professionals, were they?
Fat drunks, weren't they? They were just fat drunks who smoked a lot.
They walked to the match with the fans.
They walked to the match with the fans, got on the bus with the fans, didn't they?
And they never got paid well, did they, before?
No. They got paid the same as the coal miners down the mine, didn't they, back then? Didn't they? Yeah, that's what they'd lead you to believe. But then they all just wasted it on drink and drugs. And
when football was a laugh, we had a sense of humour back then, didn't it? And then it got and then people got agents and it got serious and social media, so it just become serious game.
It became really popular, didn't it? And then so obviously there's lots of money generated, so people make lots of money from it. So,
what about, obviously we can't talk about Liverpool Football Club without talking about, because obviously you mentioned Luis Suarez, who is probably one of the best players to ever kick a ball. He left as soon as he could, didn't he? He realised he was good and then thought, I don't want to be part of this, it's really rubbish. But what about, obviously you have to mention Steven Gerrard, because that's the go-to person, isn't it, if you're a Liverpool fan or a sort of Broad Street journalist?
Yeah, I've got quite strong views on Steven Gerrard. I think he's the most overrated footballer of all time, well, barring Lionel Messi. And I think he was a gutless coward who just played the game with a painful expression on his face. And there was not one likeable thing about him. There still isn't one likeable thing about him. And I hate him, and I wish he was dead.
Yeah, I think a few people concur with that. But what about if I throw the the Istanbul night at you then? And obviously, he did that, didn't he? He managed to salvage a Champions League. Out of a career of desperately trying to win a league, we couldn't be bothered to do. What about the old Champions League? That was something, wasn't
it? Yeah, it was. But he scored in that game, didn't he? But then so did Vladimir Smica. so really, and you look at the names of the Liverpool players who won that Champions League tie as well. No, I think he was before then. Warner. Yeah, he won one. Neil Mellor. He would have been in that squad, wouldn't he? Yeah, yeah. But everyone talks about is that the game against Olympiacos, which they desperately needed to win to get through, and he scored that goal, didn't he? And he had his testimonial against Olympiacos because of that goal against Olympiacos. That's meant to be the most famous Gerrard night ever, because he never had a famous night in an England shirt.
I was going to say that. Can you think of one game, maybe the Germany away game? Can you think of anything?
Germany 5-1. Yeah, it was all right, but like he was a different person then. Like if you watch that match, he smiles in that game, and when he scores, he's like quite, I'm happy, and it was like, oh wow, this guy's good. And then he just became a miserable bastard for the rest of his career.
Do you think it's because he couldn't be bothered to ever change his haircut from the get-go? I mean, he's like, footballers kind of, the number one thing you've got to do is act like a prat, wear silly trainers and daft clothes, haven't you? But I mean, he just stuck to being totally straight up and down with that one haircut, didn't he?
He like stuck to his roots, couldn't you? Like he was just a working class bellend, and he had crayoned on hair. But a lot of them like did. Carragher had crayoned on hair, and so did Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard's hair never ever moved. It never moved. I don't even think they ever got it cut.
No, it's
never moved. Their hair didn't move. Paul Scholes' hair never moved. The list of footballers I'm talking about here were the most boring, uninspiring human beings to ever have played the game.
Yeah, I think most people could agree with that. They looked like Lego head, really, didn't they? That was the crack.
They were just dull as shit, all of them. All very good players, but dull as shit. Just totally uninspiring human beings.
The golden generation, as they call it.
The golden generation, as we called them.
Yeah, and now we call them.
What do we call them now? The so-called golden generation. That's what we call them now. That's what we call them now, isn't it? Pretty so-called. Nobody got. No, it wasn't the so-called golden generation. The press called it them. The players didn't refer to themselves as the golden generation, did they?
No, I don't think you get the label, and then that's like the class of '92. The class of '92, you just get labelled, don't you? And then that's it. Then you live and die by that adage, don't you?
Yeah, but they were just dull people, and that was the problem. Intermingled with some decent characters like I thought Rooney, Terry, and
yeah, at least Terry had the good grace to like bang his mate's bird, be silly, go out, fall out of China whites, cartwheel around, not like sort of with the racism and all that, but I mean at least he had some kind of lace to him, didn't even know he was a bell, and then everyone just ended up loving him anyway.
Yeah. Well, he did some stuff, didn't they? Like I used to hate John Terry, and then I looped all the way. I hated him so much in the end that I've looped round to liking him now, and even after he played for the Villa.
Yeah, I mean that's a massive statement,
and I still quite like the guy, which is.
So I don't want to like obviously just stick to Liverpool. I mean we could make 5 series just about Liverpool, really, couldn't we? And most people's disdain for them because there's pretty much nothing to like. But just the final say, obviously, that they have now become, unfortunately, one of the best teams in the world, I would imagine. I don't think it's even by luck. It seems to like design, really, because they seem to have got the right bloke in, which is Jurgen Klopp. We got an interview with him in a bit, so we'll go to that when we're good and ready. But like a quick final say, because obviously we want to cover City and a few other things. Quick final say on obviously Jurgen Klopp and his impact in the Premier League.
Jurgen Klopp, he's obviously a very, very good manager. He's very good at his job. He did really well at Dortmund, and he's continued to do well at Liverpool. But that doesn't stop him being a deplorable cunt, does it?
Well, I mean, oh, Jurgen, you've got unnecessary white teeth. What do you think of the game today?
Yeah, of course. You can't say unnecessary, but it's like it is in football, I think. I couldn't see it back, but I think the first goal, in a lot of countries, it would have been disallowed. So, because you cannot go in a goalkeeper like this, and that's how it is. And now I see it first time. Interesting.
And Jurgen, your thoughts on Adam Lallana and George Ronaldo? Yeah, still playing spank the bottom in the change room and blocking the other lads from having a go.
Good. And was really good. Was exactly what we expected. as well the block, the counter press in that moment. That's Adam's strength as well. But of course he played a really good game. I thought we thought actually maybe after 60 minutes, maybe after thinking half time, I don't know, after 60 minutes, but he looked okay. And so we changed it a bit later because Ginny suffered a little bit today, so you could see that he lost a bit energy. So we changed him first, and that's it. But no, very good game from Adam, of course.
Now, obviously, you're off to Germany. See if the Bayern Munich lads want to have a game of spank the bottom of your players.
Yes, all good. So we have to see now. We have to again to recover from that game. That's important. We have 2 days to do that. We try that, and then we go to Munich. So good one.
You're deplorable.
Thank you very much.
Okay, interesting thoughts there from myself and Jurgen Klopp. Always good to hear from the main man. So just coming back to where we were. So obviously with Jurgen Klopp, why do you think he's such the perfect fit for Liverpool as a manager?
He's got every ingredient basically. I hate Liverpool Football Club, but I hate them with a passion that burns deep in my soul. But over the years, I have quite liked some of their managers. So I liked Benitez, I liked Houllier, obviously liked Hodgson. I liked Brendan Rodgers; he was good value. But with Klopp, they've got the absolute it's like he's been made in a lab, and what's come out is the ultimate Liverpool manager. He came thinking that everybody loved Liverpool. This is his main problem. He came to this country thinking everybody loved Liverpool Football Club, like most people love Dortmund, and he very quickly realised that nobody liked Liverpool unless you're a Liverpool supporter. And I don't think he's got to grips with that, and I don't think he can. I think he thinks the whole world's against him, which they are.
Yeah, I think what I came to realise is because he came with like this kind of I am a cool attitude and all that, and he probably thought by going to Liverpool, people will also then by proxy like me as a human being because he's like quite deplorable, and it's just completely backfired, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think he got this sort of image of being quite cool and quite funny and a bit of a character, and it turns out that he's not any of them things. I think this has been a realisation for him. I think it's been quite defining for him. That it's just everyone hates him. And
unless you're a Liverpool fan, which is absolutely perfect for the mould, isn't he? For a Liverpool fan, he couldn't have wished for any better as a human, torrid human being to represent you and your club.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, it's perfect for people like me who hate Liverpool. The problem with Liverpool fans is that they won't have a bad word said about him because they won't have a bad word said about anything to do with the club. Anything to do with their own fans, anything to do with their fans' past behaviour, and anything to do with any manager they've ever had. Everything the only manager that they wouldn't stick up for or just truly despise was Roy Hodgson, because to them he wasn't a big enough name. He looked a little bit like an old man.
Yeah, like an old decrepit fart, wasn't he? He didn't have the V-neck on, and he didn't have like a smooth haircut, so he was over really for him. He had no chance, did he?
Yeah, no knitwear, and most Liverpool fans don't know a thing about football, so they didn't know that what he'd achieved in the past and the kind of big names and big egos that he'd managed, and especially like if you look back to the period of time that he was the Inter Milan manager, was when Italian football was in its absolute pomp, and he was managing against Capello, Arrigo Sacchi, Trapattoni, Marcello Lippi, and this guy's done it. Walking into Liverpool wasn't like this big thing, as if like he won't be able to cope with how big this job is. It's absolute rubbish.
Yeah, and I think that it was always good, wasn't it, when they said that he's not been able to deal with like the big players at Liverpool, the Steven Gerrards, when he'd managed like fat Ronaldo forever and like these sort of top for footballers. And then suddenly he was like a rabbit in the headlights at Liverpool. It all seemed a bit odd.
Yeah, like he managed like Ivan Zamorano, as you say, Fat Ronaldo.
The other one, the Argentinian fullback who was at Inter forever. I can't think of his name. He was like a legend there. He won. It doesn't come to mind now. Yeah, there was Cambias. There was another one as well. There's one that they'd been there forever. I can't recall it now, but he had done it. So I think that I think his head was on the block before he got to Liverpool, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, they just weren't happy, but then they'd got the problem wasn't Hodgson, the problem was the owners at the time. That Gillette and Hicks, they were the issue at the time. So whoever had took over at that period would have struggled, which is what Dalglish found when he took over, because he struggled as well.
Yeah, but at least Dalglish put in the old school tactics when they're trained, and they do that thing when they knock the ball on the back, and they'd lie on their back and do like bicycle cycling, wouldn't they, from the 80s, and that worked wonders in that League Cup campaign, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, they completely prehistoric. He obviously, he was just absolutely awful. But they would never admit that, because it was
King Kenny,
Sir King Kenny, as he is now, for
soon to be dead King Kenny.
Yeah, well, hopefully. One day when I was watching football on the telly and he came on the telly, I spat at my telly.
All right, that's good. Yeah, well, like I say, different strokes for different folks. That's what they say, isn't it? Moving on, because obviously the last thing I want to do on this channel, because there's only 6 episodes, is in any way come across as anti-Liverpool. That is the last thing.
No, not that. No.
The last thing.
No, and because obviously it's got to be a totally unbiased show. And I wouldn't want anyone to think that. I mean, I know a lot of Liverpool fans, and I wouldn't want them to be upset with what I'm saying, even though I say it straight to their face.
It's absolutely 100% true. Totally informed, and it's all based on absolute facts. But we don't want to let these facts or statistics or other people's opinions get in the way of what we're putting out there on the content. We're going to quickly move forward, because obviously, we could talk about Liverpool for hours and days and still be angry. But obviously, so the rivals are Man City. Now, Man City are a bit of a funny club, aren't they? Because obviously we all know the history and where they've come from. And obviously they've got Pep Guardiola, who's another. Well, he's a character, if nothing else. I mean, what's your thoughts on, realistically, where Man City have come from, where they are now, and then where Pep Guardiola sits within that sort of spectrum of what they're trying to achieve?
Well, Manchester City are easily the best footballing team that's ever played in the Premier League. He's assembled an amazing squad. They play amazing football. He's obviously the best manager in the world. I didn't necessarily think that when he come, but he has proven that. But the problem is no one cares.
Yeah, why is that? It's a bit odd, isn't it? They cared more when they were playing like Gillingham in Division 2 and had Nicky Weaver in goal, and now they've got one of the best teams ever assembled, 50, 60,000 going up there, and they're all just, they hate it, don't they? They absolutely can't stand it.
Yeah, nobody cares. They don't sell papers. Nobody's bothered. I mean, they were too far away from winning the quadruple this season. I think they will win the FA Cup. I think they hopefully will just slightly win, just win the league. I said, but I said no one would be bothered, and it must be very peculiar for Guardiola and the Man City players, really, that they seem to lack any kind of soul. But I still want them to win the league.
Everyone else in the world, and I think it has helped one massive benefit to Man City, like you said, about the players not understanding what's going on, or fans really liking it, or the journalists. Luckily most of the Man City players had never heard of them before they joined anyway, so it's like they weren't expecting much, were they? Because obviously probably a lot of them just thought they were joining United and then just ended up in a blue kit.
Yeah, and I think if you asked any of them, they'd rather be playing for Manchester United, and if you ask Guardiola, he'd rather be doing what he's doing with Man United, because Man United, for all their woes over the last few years, are still it.
They're just Man United, aren't they?
Yeah, they sell papers. Everyone, whether they're doing badly, good, indifferent, mediocre, everyone still wants to hear about what Man United are doing. Even if people are enjoying the fact that they're terrible or whatever, it still sells papers, and it's big. Man City aren't a global thing, are they? And it's going to take a long, long time for them to become that.
I think it's hard as well to become because Man United monopolised it and got all the glory, didn't they? You could get glory hunters on it, but now you've got 6 teams. It's harder to just monopolise those young fans that are coming up, isn't it? Who just want to support the best team. Fair play to them. It's just easier when you support the best team, isn't it? But obviously there's quite a few better teams now, so it's hard. It's a shame now for a modern fan to glory hunt, because it's just a little bit more difficult than it used to be.
Yeah, it is difficult because, as we've seen with Liverpool over recent years, and with Man United now, and obviously Arsenal recently as well, glory hunting can go wrong, and that's what's happened. And this is a lot of the reason why Liverpool glory hunters are very, very defensive, because they made that choice years ago, and it's not really paid off. Not enough, has it? It paid off for the United supporters over a period of time. I suppose it paid off for some Arsenal supporters as well, but it didn't pay off hasn't paid off for the Liverpool fans. Then I think they're a bit tetchy about that. Yeah. So
you can just stick to Real Madrid or Barcelona, but probably a bit easier. But in Real Madrid ran their own problems. So, I mean, it's quite, like I say, it's a shame at the minute because football's become so brilliant and so competitive, and most teams have got amazing players. It's just a real minefield now for anyone like myself who wants to glory hunt and just be represented themselves by their team and nothing else. It's I've just felt sorry for them. We could do some kind of campaign, couldn't we, or a Facebook page for these fans. Arsenal, they've only won about 200 FA Cups in the last 5 years. So teams like them, it's a shame, isn't it? Really, where do they go?
Yeah, but then there's teams like as you say, like Tottenham, who are right in the mix with it, who just don't achieve anything, don't win anything. They're not going to win the Champions League. They're probably going to lose the semi against Ajax, and they'll have another season having won nothing, which is what they've just done forever and ever. They're the weird club in the group, aren't they? In that top six.
They put all the time into it, all the effort of recruiting. I know they've paid a lot less recruiting all the best players and having all this academy. We've still, their absolute utter mindset is just absolutely don't win anything at any cost. It doesn't matter how good we are. Even get the best. That Son Heung-min, I never bother learning his name. He's the greatest footballer that's ever been born. We probably, not just out of Asia, just probably one of the best players ever.
Yeah.
They get him in, and it's just still can't be bothered to win anything. And I rate them for that, because if you're going to stick to a moral, like with Daniel Levy's obviously gone, we're going to stick to the idea that we'll just be good for a little bit and we'll win fuck all, which I think is admirable.
I think they're the epitome of flattering to deceive, and but they've even got the best striker in the world, haven't they? Yeah. He's the best striker in the world, and he scores all the goals, and he just can't stop scoring goal after goal after goal after goal, and yet they still achieve nothing from it, which is quite quite clever, really.
I think it could be going under the radar, isn't it? Because why get that? There's too much attention, and also they're just never going to be as good as Arsenal or big as Arsenal. So what's the point in really trying? Do your bit, but Arsenal are in the sort of rebuild phase. They are a better club, bigger club, and more interesting. So the last thing you want to do is take some kind of limelight from your local neighbours, anyway, is it? So I think it's just very, very good what they've achieved so far.
It is, but you also, the interesting thing is that Tottenham have also down the road they've got Chelsea. Tottenham are a bigger club than Chelsea, and Tottenham have been striving for the last 100 years to become something, but have achieved nothing. Chelsea had to go at it for 5 minutes and then just won everything.
They continue to win everything. They can't stop winning it, can they? Even when they're crap, they keep winning it. So that's another amazing skill.
They'll probably nick the Europa League this season or something, won't they? But they're in the semis already. So that must be difficult for Tottenham as well. It's in every other club that has a little go at it to achieve stuff, and Tottenham just can't.
The Wolves win. Okay, so we've thrashed Liverpool and Man City to death now, and obviously we won't come back to them at all. Apart from obviously straight in the next episode, we'll slag them off immediately. In my opinion, it's probably been the worst Premier League season since its inception in '93. But obviously that's just me, and obviously you know a little bit more. So what's your thoughts on how the Premier League's been as a spectacle this year?
I think it's been very, very poor. I think there's been no relegation battle, really. Although there's one place left, Huddersfield and Fulham were relegated after the second game, by the looks of it. Chelsea and Arsenal, I don't know what the point of them is at the moment. Even though Chelsea looked like they were going to do really well at the start, and then they just dwindled off into nothing because their players decided to stop playing for them completely. It is unusual for them, really strange. But then they've picked back up. They've decided, we'll go with it now, which is weird for them because usually they go right for the jugular. But they sort of had a change of heart this year. So apart from the title race, which is okay, but it's still a bit boring because both of them just win every week. nothing's really happened. I don't know what's gone on in the middle of the table, because like Everton, that's the worst Everton side I've ever seen, yet they're probably going to finish 7th. Wolves have been great, but are probably going to finish lower than the Albion finished in their best ever position, but nobody cared. So yeah, it's just been awful, absolutely dreadful.
Can I ask you the question that's on most people's minds? I mean, journalists haven't picked up on it, and neither have like the top sort of academics and mathematicians, in world academia. But Bournemouth have managed to do this incredible feat since joining the Premier League 3 to 4 years ago of losing every single game they've ever participated in, yet still survive, which is an incredible way of doing it. No one ever bothers looking at them, but they don't accrue any wins ever, yet they always seem to be in the middle of the table. I mean, how can that even be explained? Or has it even been spotted yet by the Western world? Because Eddie Howe knows it, but no one else seems to.
Well, the Eddie Howe obviously knows it. The players must know it. The Bournemouth fans must know it. But they're obviously keeping quiet because. But it's this season they're on for their highest ever Premier League points total. I don't know how many points they are off it, but they've, as you say, they've lost every single match, and like quite well as well. They've lost every match. I don't even think they've scored a goal. I don't think. No. I can't recall one, so it hasn't happened.
No, I can't remember them ever scoring.
I haven't watched them once. But in my mind, they haven't scored a goal. But they're weird. I think this is the worst Everton side I've ever seen, but they're 7th. So.
Well, you probably haven't seen much of Everton nor Bournemouth, but I wouldn't want that to get in the way of you forming a really die-hard opinion on the form or ability of any of those players, because the last thing we want to do on this programme is to bring facts and figures and actual knowledge of watching football into just an innate opinion that you've just read in a paper, and that's the way it is forever. Well,
no, and you've heard my views on certain football players that I've got some real big opinions on what are meant to be the best footballers in the world. That's to come at a later date. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I base all my facts and stats on nothing. I make them all up just to suit me and my agenda, which is basically what football punditry is all about.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right to do so.
Journalism and football fans and everything to do with football, 'cause it's a complete fucking joke.
Yeah, probably a point. Right, well, we're going to wrap it up there anyway, because obviously we're going to come on to that at another point. And I think basically what we've surmised, if football stopped altogether, everyone would be a lot happier. Because I know you would, and I certainly would be. If it stopped right now, I'd be over the moon. But it probably won't work for the premise of what we're trying to do on this shit-arse station that no one's going to watch. So anyway, that's it wrapped up. How do you think it went for your first time in front of camera?
Fair to middling. That could be my catchphrase.
Yeah, and that's it. We'll push that out then. We'll see when we get some mugs and t-shirts, hats, and we'll knock some shit merchandise out.
I need anything. I'm really, really broke.
Yeah, no, we can say from the look of you, financially destitute. But we could do probably a crap advert for Wonga or something as well if we get anything out of it. So this is Adam Martin for Making the Grade, first episode over, and we'll see you next time.